easiest if we just sort the data. So make this bigger for a second. I'm going to go to data, and after I've selected the column of data, I'm just going to use the A to Z. Notice now that my values are in order from least to greatest. And then I can see the minimum is 32 and the maximum, let's see, what is the maximum? 177. Okay, so put that in. Then we're going to do let's do the median first. So here we have, looks like there's 21 rows, but the first row is a header, so there's 20 observations. So then in between the 10th and 11th value would be the median. Okay, so the median, since this is an even number of data values and I don't have a middle value, I'm going to average the 10th. Oh, and I have to be careful here. I almost made a mistake because I forgot that the top was just a header. I'm actually going to make just a counter here to make it a little easier to see. So my first data value, my second data value, this will just count my data values for me. So now here the 9th and 10th values are what I was about to do, I think, but I should have been doing these two, the 10th and 11th, because that is like the exact middle is right between those two values. Now it turns out that since the 10th value and the 11th value are both 64, if I average them, it's going to be 64. So then this is my top 50% of the data right here. So that's, well, actually including the 10th value there. And so the middle would be between the 5th and 6th values. So my 25th percentile, also known as the first quartile, Q sub 1, or also P sub 25, two different ways of looking at this, is between the 5th and 6th. So I'm going to average the 5th and 6th values there. And then for the Q3, which is also the 75th percentile, this is all just labeling, by the way. I'm not doing any computation here. I'm just labeling my values. Q sub 3, which is also P sub 75%. Right, so the Q3, the third quartile, is the divider right in the middle of the top 50% of the data. So if you take these top 50% right here, right in the middle of those, so that's 10 values. We want to be between the 15th and 16th values. So we're going to average those two up. All right, now let's just enter those into the problem, make sure we got it right. So we have the first quartile, 49.5. We have the median, 64. We have the third quartile, 78. Okay. See, did we get them right? Yes. Okay, good. Now, what units would go into each of those? So what do these numbers represent in units? So what units of measurement? Well, it says up here that this is a data set of lengths of rivers in kilometers. So we're going to make sure we have kilometers. Okay, now compute the IQR. Well, the IQR is the distance between the two interquartiles. So IQR, interquartile range, is going to be the third quartile minus the first quartile. So that just gives us a range. That would be the width of your box plot, the box part of your box plot. That would be the width of that box, 28.5. Okay, 28.5. And then, of course, the units would be kilometers still. Okay, now what is the lower fence for the data set? Okay, well, we know that to get the fences for, to block out, like, where are the values that we will not consider outliers, where are the boundaries when you go past them, if you have values past these boundaries, they would be considered outliers. So what you want to do is take the IQR, the interquartile range, and multiply it times 1.5. And then once you have that, actually, I'm just going to label that as 1.5 times IQR. Right, now once you have that, you below fence by taking your first quartile and subtracting that distance, and then you take your to get your high fence, you start at the third quartile and you go above it, so add the 1.5 times. So these should be the values for setting for the lower fence and the fence. Okay, yeah, good. And then we just noticed that data values are an outlier. So notice two values here that are on higher fence, so 121 and 177. So when we are selecting the modified there are two dots outside the right. So this is the only one that has but it's the only one. Now, I'm looking now that we're last value or the greatest, these are outliers because they're greater than the upper fence. And so those are outliers. So right here is 108, the greatest value that is not an outlier. We'll always right side. And so here I right there. And then for the third quartile. And it's good. So I hope that was helpful.